entrepreneurs in Bangalore city. We're close to the Chinnaswamy Stadium and we've got coming up a husband and wife duo. They've started something called the Writers Block. It's a company that services the needs of the IT and the ITeS sector as far as technical documentation is concerned. Let's catch up with Rakesh and Helen Shukla on Young Turks on the Road.
Teamwork is the key to their success. It's a game plan that Helen and Rakesh Shukla have mastered to make their brainchild, the Writers Block, a winner. Helen and Rakesh met 8 years ago while working for the same company in Delhi. Helen, a tech writer, and Rakesh in business development. Soon their partnership at the workplace evolved into a partnership for life. And a year ago, the Writers Block was born. The lack of proper technical documentation, like manuals and instruction guides, was their inspiration to start the Writers Block. The agenda was to find suitable people to tap into the small tech documentation market in India. So they gave up their comfortable MNC jobs to shoot for their entrepreneurial dream.
Hey Rakesh, hi Helen, how are you doing? Thank you very much for joining us on Young Turks on the Road. Let me start by asking you about the Writers Block, the name itself, because I found it really interesting and I love it in fact. How did you come about it?
Well, you know, when we started, we were sitting and talking and figuring out what are we going to call this thing. What came about were a couple of things. The first is that what we're going to do is fairly counterintuitive in how we're going to go about it. And the other was that we needed to have a name that would stick.
Yeah.
And I think we put it all together and said, Writer's Block is when people can't write really well. And if you change some things about that name, so it is a place which has completely the opposite meaning.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, it's also a great icebreaker. Because every customer we go to asks the same question.
Absolutely.
And we get to tell them the story. Yeah, and people never forget.
I'm sure the other story that you always get asked about is how the two of you actually met and got together and the life partnership turned into a business partnership. Yeah. I believe it wasn't in Bangalore, it was in Delhi when the two of you got together.
Yeah, that's right. We used to work in the same company in Delhi about 8 years ago. And Rakesh was in business development and I of course was in technical writing.
Did you ever imagine that you'd actually set up something, the two of you together and work together? Not for somebody but for yourself?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, India is a big market.
Yeah.
And we also figured out that there were a few things that were happening. There was a need that was felt from both our sides. From me, because I used to manage the products for the companies that I used to work for.
Yeah.
And they had always very bad documentation. And she had the same need had seen the same need but from a slightly different angle, which was couldn't get the right kind of people.
Yeah.
So we figured that if we put this thing together and, we get our resources together, because I can go out and get the market, and she can actually deliver.
With Rakesh looking after the marketing and management and Helen handling the training programs, the Writers Block is a technical documentation company that aims at providing world-class outsourcing and training services to leading IT companies including IBM, Wipro, TCS, Sun Microsystems, Intel and Infosys. With a 40-member team, not only does the Writers Block provide tech writing outsourcing, but it also has a retail training program as well as innovative placement programs for technical writing education and training in India.
So from idea to execution and implementation, how long did it take you to get things up and running?
A couple of months.
Yeah.
Well, it is tough work for a couple of reasons. It is the idea, the concept, and what we are telling people is that, listen guys, you do something very well, which is create this technology or this software, but you don't do something that well, and which is what our core competence is. So it takes a little time for people to understand that, because we are trying to sell outsourcing to people who understand outsourcing very well.
Yeah.
So the whole cost proposition part is not necessarily the part that works best here.
Sure.
It's the expertise and the intellectual capability that we bring to the table, which is really the killer. Yeah. So it has taken a little time, but I think what has also happened right in our case is that we started without having any customers. We didn't have any connects in the market. We have still, I'm very proud to say that always, and I say that to the business team every day.
Yeah.
We have started this business without having acquired any customer that came from a personal place.
Okay.
You know? So it's purely the process of going and acquiring customers, and there are people like Infosys and Cisco and everyone else, but it's purely a business process.
I'm going to ask you to break down technical documentation for all our viewers who don't understand what this concept is. Please explain, de-jargonize it for us. What does technical documentation
She'll
mean?
do the best job.
Okay. A formal definition would be technical writing is compiling information with reference to a context for a specific audience.
Okay.
The typical example which most people relate to would be the context being a washing machine, the audience being the end users or the layman who uses it, and the actual information being the user manual or the instruction guide.
But just like every other industry, yours would also be an industry which is faced with a huge supply crunch in terms of talent, and I believe you are sort of doing your own thing to bridge that deficit.
A huge lack of supply, and that was one of the key reasons why we started this, because technical writing at the end of the day is something that it's a specialized skill.
So you've started 3 initiatives to sort of take care of this deficit. You've got the alumni program, you've got the mentorship program, and you've got the sort of on-campus program. How's that played out for you? Are you already seeing results?
As we see the company as the company is, it's actually in 3 major offers that we have to the market, which is, the first is what we just spoke about, which was the outsourcing part, where we do the outsourcing for all these large clients, and we hope to grow that much more in this year, and so on and so forth. The other is the training that we provide to the same clients, because our customer is ultimately always the enterprise. So there's the same customer will give us sometimes outsourcing, sometimes a training opportunity, sometimes they will hire. And while it looks like counterintuitive again that that we should do outsourcing and provide those kind of that kind of talent at the same time, but it works out for us because it is good for everyone if the right kind of talent is available, right?
Though the road to success has not been easy, the Writers Block is riding smoothly now. Growth projections for the next financial year are $1.5 million. With the groundwork of references laid, the Writers Block is now looking at pushing their international clientele up by 50%. However, they're keeping a keen eye on potential investors who could add capital and value to their business in the coming years.
At the end of the day, it's the color of the money that is really important. What does it come with? And it's not that we've not spoken to any investors, we have, but we found that it was not the color of money that we would want, because it was coming at a price in multiple ways that was not maybe suitable for us. But at the same time, there are a few very serious people and who are also very candid.
But what's it like actually, working within the same organization and working as team leaders, because you're not reporting to anybody anymore, it's the two of you together. What's that? It's a different equation. What's that been like?
I think it's an interesting situation where at least everyone now tells me that it's a bad idea to work with somebody who's you like a life partner. So it's but it's never been like that with us, because and it's not also like a thought out decision that we are going to be professional like that and not otherwise, but it is kind of just evolved. When we are in the office, when we at work, we both have interests to protect, which are ultimately the companies, but everyone has a perspective, so it's sometimes pretty aggressive, very combative.
Who's the more aggressive and combative one? Come on. Candid, honest answer. Who's the more combative?
I wouldn't call it her. I wouldn't call it her. So but it's fine. But the other part of it, and which is the one that works, I think, rather well, is that we, like she said, we never bring work home, and.
Yeah, we don't discuss work. We may bring it home, but then we've got our timings.
So what are the 3 priorities for you as the company sort of, goes into its third year. What are your priorities at this point?
Actually, second year.
Second year.
Well, the first is what we've been able to do is create a certain healthy, I would say, a buzz where there are people who now call us or look up to us, and the initial pressure of trying to chase the customer is slightly, that's eased a little. Now there are people who call us and say, well, this is what I want to do. What do you guys have to say?
Yeah.
While that has happened, I think this time we will, and for the next 3 or 4 quarters running, we have to stabilize ourselves in terms of our resources, how we plan our people, how we plan our business. I think that is key.
Rakesh, Helen, thanks very much for joining us. We wish you the very best of luck with the Writers Block going forward, and pleasure having you on Young Turks on the Road.